And welcome to the Redeye stream number 206. Tonight we're going to talk about kind of a tough subject, mental health awareness and suicide prevention. And I forgot to mute the stream itself. God damn it, I hate when I hear my own voice. Anyway, I'm back. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, about 4 years ago on the 5th of November, I know, Guy Fawkes Day. Interesting. But a friend of mine ended up committing suicide. Last time I had seen him was on my birthday that year. That's what kind of brought up this subject. We're all just going to talk a little bit about mental health and suicide prevention. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, Matt. How about you?
Well, now that my internet's fixed, I'm doing much better. We actually have Irate Bear here. Welcome to the Redeye stream. How are you doing,
Welcome,
sir?
Bear.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate it. I hope you're all well on this evening.
But no. I don't really know how to start this topic, so I'm going to throw it to somebody else. One of you guys start off, because it's really a hard topic for me to approach. Not only because of my friend and his situation, but mainly because I've never really had a problem myself with depression. I've never really had that issue. So it's really hard for me to kind of wrap my head around it, if you get what I'm saying.
What angle do you want to come at it from? Because we can all talk about personal experience, or we can talk about, governmental assistance with this kind of thing, or ways to deal with these kind of things.
It depends. Do you want to talk about your personal experience, or do you want to come at it from the purely politically, what exactly could we do about it?
I'd be interested in hearing from the panel's experiences, if they wouldn't mind being open about it. I understand if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. Before I speak about my own.
Okay.
Who wants to go first? Because I guess it's probably going to be me.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stories. I'm a Gen Xer, so let me know when I'm supposed to go, guys.
All right. This is going to be fun. I'll start. Okay. I used to be in the military. I was in bomb disposal. Now, during that time, there was an incident, and I basically got blew up. Quite a lot of damage. Yeah, an awful lot of damage, I'll be blunt. And the rest of my squad were killed during the explosions. So I'm reckoning you can probably work out where my depression comes from.
Well, let me be the first to say, Jensen, thank you very much for your service, and very sorry to hear that as well. May your comrades rest in peace.
I'm sorry, Jensen.
It's okay. It's something I've dealt with, but for this, I'm having to bring out all of the old, oh so fun memories.
Well, please don't say anything that would trigger a flashback or something like that. We wouldn't want that to happen.
And thank you for being a badass and talking about it.
No worries, sis. Well, okay. Lots of worries, but that's just me sweating like a good and, trying to do this. But, right. Point is my depression kicked in, not too surprisingly, because I lost my team, and they were my pack. They were more than family, they were more than friends. We were a team, we went everywhere together, and they're gone, and I survived. So you got the fun and joy of almost dying and survivor's guilt. So you can imagine how much fun that is to go through on a daily basis. And well, I'm not saying that the depression kicks my ass that much, but when you go to bed every night praying that you die and wake up every morning cursing the fact that you didn't, I think you can imagine exactly how difficult it is to continue on a daily basis.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's quite horrific. I can't think of much worse than that, to be honest, mate. You're obviously a very strong individual because you're here right now talking about it. So I praise you for that.
I mean,
Jensen, I'm always here if you need to talk to. Like all of us.
Thank you all for. To be fair, thank you for just being willing to listen to this stuff. And I realise I'm not putting myself across as clearly as I usually can, but I'm hoping you all understand why this is difficult.
We do. I mean, and there's no judgment here, Jensen, so don't worry about it.
Okay, good. It's, you know, it's not the easiest of things to discuss, especially knowing that this is going out technically worldwide. So, yeah, sweating buckets here. But point is that mental health, because people can't see anything wrong with you, they just assume, oh, he's just depressed, he's just trying to take time off and things like that. No, I literally, every day of my life, I consider suicide. The number of ways I have already attempted suicide, which I'm not going to go into details on my plans for obvious reasons. But yeah, the doctors are very uncomfortable giving me pills, and the ones they give me are as weak as they can. But yeah, I still have to take so many to get any real effect.
Mm.
Yeah, your sister would bring you back from the dead. And
yes.
Probably duct tape you to a wall for your own safety.
That and kick my ass so hard, it's not even funny. Yeah. As much as me and her have our issues, she is probably one of the few people that basically make me be here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even gone on to this sort of thing, you know.
In other words, she loves you?
Don't make me say that. That's not fair.
It's a tough love. We all need that tough love, that kick in the ass to make us go in the right direction sometimes, Jensen.
Well, when you say survivor's guilt, how are you guilty because you actually survived? I mean, you got burnt and shit, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't see how someone would be guilty for living.
Okay. It was my job to actually disable the explosives. And unfortunately, we'd had a new guy join our group a few days ago. And to put it bluntly, he was a dickhead. He got out of the van first, before I even was able to get the hardware on. He's walked over, looked at a pile of rubbish and said, "Yeah, there's nothing here. What's your problem, Quinn?" Gave it a good kick, and it was wired to like other explosives. And because, you know, I'm being the hero, i.e. the idiot, I was running towards him to try and get him to stop, and was basically caught between both blasts. My face now looks like something out of Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And let's just say certain parts of me don't work that most blokes would be very upset at losing access to.
What I don't want to dig too much into the event itself because I really don't want to set off any kind of uncomfortable flashbacks for you or anything like that, Jensen. What I'm more interested in is the kind of treatment that's sort of been offered your way. So you said medication. Is that the only sort of treatment that's been dealt with your way?
Yeah, they tried to get me into the group talkings and things like that. Unfortunately, I have a really hard time talking to people, especially on revealing this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So my natural paranoia kicked in. I refused to go. And so it's quite simply, it's here are your pills. Now shut up and don't kill yourself.
I'm going to recommend something to you. I don't know whether it's suitable for you or not, but it might help. I'm just going to contact the missus real quick so I can go grab the information for you. Okay, is that all right if I do that?
Yeah,
sure.
No,
Feel free to tell me to fuck off, Jensen, if you think I'm interfering.
no, in all fairness, I'm willing to listen to any advice. Whether I choose to take it or not kind of depends on where my head is at any given moment, you know?
Yeah.
If his sister's listening, she'll probably make him do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's helpful that you're British as well, because I know a lot about these kind of things. I was recommend. I'm also an ex-serviceman as well, and I sought out the British Legion for assistance with a couple of things not so long ago. They're actually very helpful with many different aspects of life, not just sort of helping you out with buying furniture and stuff like that. They offer many different services, and they offered up a special type of residential therapy for ex-service personnel. I've just texted Mrs. because I need to find the letter for it, and then I'll be able to give you the information for it straight away, rather than having to go through British Legion to acquire it. They take ex-service personnel and they put them on a 6-week residential course. Now, I don't know what kind of therapies they do there. I assume it's a mixed bag, and because with it being ex-military, it would more than likely cater to your mindset, that kind of mindset that never leaves you after serving. It's very possible that it would benefit you, because I would assume they have lots of soldiers that have experienced what you have and dealt with PTSD and various other forms of mental health issues, and I would like to try to get that information for you. If I'm unable to, I would recommend contacting the British Legion, because they have quite a few different services that they may be able to help you out with.
Thank you for your advice, and to be honest, I appreciate it, mate. As I say, I can't guarantee what I'll do, because, to put it bluntly, after what happened to me, I've become pretty much a shut-in. As I hope that you understand, you know, as to why. Let's be honest. I was never exactly of guys, but after my injuries, let's put it this way: I don't need to wear a mask at Halloween. Okay.
Roger that. This is one of those things, unfortunately, where you kind of have to grab yourself by the scruff of the neck to sort of begin dealing with it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I know what it is to be a shut-in, and I could tell you now it's not helpful. It will never be helpful. I mean, there's talking to people on the internet. That's, you know, that can help. It can help subside, taking your mind off things, but it won't really ever really help you get through everything. If you think I'm interfering, please tell me to fuck off. I know what it is to not want to be assisted by other people as well. So, but I think this is one of those situations where you really are gonna have to fucking. I hate to say it, because you've been through so much more than probably any of us here, but I don't know how I would react to it either. But I think you really are gonna have to grab yourself by the scruff of the neck, tart the fucking boots again, and get back at it.
Yeah, no. This is the problem. The intellectual side of my brain totally understands and agrees with you, and then there's the other part of my brain that just goes, no, lock yourself away, stay away from everyone, it's not safe out there, stay indoors, you know everything's okay indoors. So, you know, it's not fun, but I make it through every day. I'm still here. And sorry, slight loss of control there. And, well, you know, all I can do is keep on going. I know it's a bit of a trite statement, but don't let the bastard grind me down.
Well, no, and real quick, we still have a closed panel. Magic Bollocks asked to come on for a few minutes, and he had something he wanted to say. And also, Cabby wanted a link, so I gave him one as well. But it's still a closed panel. I didn't do what I usually do, which is drop the link in my Discord. I did not do that. So, yeah. How are you doing, Magicolics?
If you'd like, I can hop out. I'm sorry. I was going to say, I can hop out for a few minutes. You can call me back in when you need me to talk, and I can just be out of the way if you'd like.
Oh, no,
it's all right. I'm not going to be long. I just wanted to say one, Mr. Quinn, that was beautiful, mate. And if you'd have never said, I don't think any of us would have known, because you definitely are one of the strongest members of our little community, and the glue that holds us all together, no matter how silly and ridiculous we can get with people having tantrums or falling out. So thanks, mate, and it's very brave of you to do what you did.
Thank you very much, dude. What,
deal with me on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Yeah, that drives us all to suicide at some point. But the reason I came on was because, as I think Mr. Quinn will remember, when I first started doing this streaming stuff, I admitted to everybody, and everybody probably doesn't, who I talk to now probably doesn't know, is that I actually have mental illness as well, even though I work full time. I actually suffer from a condition called cyclothymia, which is a very watered down version of manic depression. And the way I cope with it is that I actually embrace my mental illness and use it as a strength. Because unless you actually know what it's like to have the manic side of that, you don't really know what it's like to actually be probably completely and utterly off your tits with just the stupidity of what you think you can do and what you think you can be. And it's actually quite a lot of fun in some respects. It's highly dangerous because you can do silly and dangerous things, but I'm one of these people who sort of embraces it because I know that if I didn't have it, I'd be a different person. Even though obviously, the depression side is difficult, it's manageable. You can sort of, like anybody, once you get to know yourself and how your mind works, you can work with it, work around it, and try to make the best of it. And that's what I do. That's why I'm just the completely nuts person I am, is because I find it is a good way of keeping myself sane, I suppose, in the difficult times. But my sort of attitude is that people who have mental illness, whether it's because of like something like poor Mr. Quinn had, which was from an actual incident in their life, or someone like myself who's just got it because I've got some kind of chemical imbalance in my brain, which some people would say isn't a mental illness, it's just a personality flaw. But I'm trying to look at it from the positive side, which is that yes, it is very debilitating, but it can also be, it can make life interesting, shall we say. It can make it definitely unique in terms of your behavior and how you are.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but so I can't remember how I put it exactly when I talked about it last, but it was that if somebody was to give me the opportunity saying, here's a pill, take it and you will be cured forever, I don't think I would. I generally don't think I would. I think I'm so used to it now, and so it being so part of me, that I almost wouldn't want to give it up.
I understand, man. I really do. It does become a part of your entire existence, just coping however you cope with it. Because the problem is a lot of people will sit there and read from the various psych books saying, what you need to do is X, Y, Z. Yeah, that does not necessarily equate to anything that's going on in my head at the best of times.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's like your head is a battlefield, isn't it? When you're trying to fight your demons, whatever's caused the problem. Because I find that when I get the depressive side, it's almost like everything just goes black, and everything seems suddenly pointless. Everything seems, you know, even the simplest thing like getting up in the morning is 10 times harder than it was the day before.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I do feel sorry for people who just have that side. Whereas mine will then end after a period. It's normally a couple of weeks. And then I'll just be completely flat, like a normal person. You know, you'll have your regular ups and downs. But it's when the mania kicks in. It's really, really difficult to describe. It's like somebody's giving you the ultimate happy pill. You suddenly feel immortal and you can do anything. And I don't get them as much as I used to when I was younger. I used to, through my school days, I used to get them a lot. And, you know, it gives you a hell of a lot of energy. It makes you very confident. I mean, it pushes you way beyond narcissism level. You really, really, really do believe all your own bullshit. But I know it's a strange thing to say, but you know, if I was to pick a mental illness that I had to be lumbered with, it probably would have been what I've got. I certainly wouldn't want to have manic depression. What do they call it? Type 1, the one that basically puts you in the nut house because you basically become a danger to yourself. The one I've got is because it doesn't last as long as people who have the other type of manic depression. Theirs can last for months, so you basically can't function, whereas mine just lasts for maybe a couple of weeks at most, and I can deal with that. You know, I mean, it's got me into trouble in jobs before because you know, if you're depressed and you're not really in the mood to be there, you might get shitty and you might get snappy and, you know, nasty. But if you're manic, then you're so full of confidence that if, say, your boss tells you you've done something wrong, you don't believe it, and you'll give him 1,000,001 reasons why he's wrong. Honestly, it's a weird it's a weird way to be, but yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying, mate. I don't have manic depression, but I get times where I suppose the best way is I just don't care. So therefore, I get my own version of that where it's not so much I feel immortal, it's I just don't care what the hell happens. I mean, hell, that's why I still make my own explosives and things like that.
Well, here's a real question. Over in the UK, you guys have nationalized healthcare. Is the mental health also covered in that situation?
Yeah. It is, but it's crap.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely shit.
I can personally vouch for this myself, as I've used it. And I know people that have used it who have attempted suicide and then been left there in a bed for days before they were visited by a mental health team. Luckily, with our nationalized health service, there is a veterans section called the IAPT, and they will bump you to the front of the queue. By that, I mean you'll call up and you'll maybe get an appointment in 6 to sort of 8 weeks' time from the moment that you call these people. But there is a bit of a mental health crisis here in the UK. There's just not enough money in the service, not enough people. And of course, if they find you to be a danger to yourself, they'll commit you, is what they'll do. And then they'll lock you in a ward and they'll tie you down. They'll leave you there. And they'll take away some of your rights as well, because they'll deem you as lacking capacity. And it's not pleasant. I know people that have been in there, and it's not nice. It's not nice.
They threatened me with that more than once. So I kind of end up lying to the doctors on exactly how bad I am, because they are not taking me out of my house. Quite literally, I will quite happily kill myself before I allow that to happen.
There's only one sort of upside to it, and that's because I've heard a couple of cases of this, and being sectioned, that's committed to Americans, can help people. And it has helped some people. It's just not very pleasant being deemed as lacking capacity, because you'll have some of your rights, just some of your human rights taken away from you in the process. And I suppose everyone is an individual. Everyone has different needs and different experiences. So it's hard to say what would be effective. But Jensen, if you look in the group chat there, I've linked the charity I mentioned. It's called Combat Stress.
Yeah.
If you just read what I wrote there as well, mate, and just sort of open it in a tab for when you're ready to read it, mate, and sort of just at the very least give it a look, mate.
Thank you very much for that, sir. It's very nice of you.
That's no problem.
Yeah, no, and also, sorry, not to cut you off, Irate, my bad. Tema's been linking 2 charities that we found. The American one is Stop Veteran Suicide Now, I believe is what it's called. And then the Samaritans for the UK charity. Do not donate to me tonight. Donate to one of those charities, please.
Yeah, it all helps, guys. If you have a spare dollar, a spare quid, then it could go to help saving someone's life.
Do you guys have like support groups? Is that something you guys can get together and have support groups? Is that something that's encouraged? Or because a lot of times vets in America, the way they keep their sanity a lot of times is they have like a stateside vet buddy that they end up finding, or a group of them. Do you guys have that kind of networking? We have the VFW, or Veterans of Foreign Wars, that does that stuff for us here. Do you guys have something like that?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
How effective is that for you guys? Is it a fairly financially solvent group, or is it like federally run, or how does it work? Because for us, it's almost entirely charity run. It's run by like veterans.
Yeah, most of ours are charity run. The British Legion is a good example of that, although it tends to be run by civilians who haven't served. It's I'd say it's probably one of the biggest ones. There are several groups like that as well. It's just numbers are few and far between. Veterans would be better served finding each other on Facebook than finding some of these services in some places.
Okay. And that is kind of a locale issue that you can find in our nation as well. I was just wondering what kind of similarities we had for,
Well, I mean, I don't know. I know in where I went to high school, in Junction City, it's only a town of like 5,000 people, but they have a pretty active VFW there, where quite a few of the veterans that I knew would go hang out there, and group together and talk. And I don't know. I never went there. I wasn't a veteran, so. Yeah, but I do know it was pretty active.
Yeah, but then if you go to the one in Santa Barbara, it's all just basically Alcoholics Anonymous. There's really no, Santa Barbara, California. There's not really any vets meeting there. It's mostly rented out throughout the day for other therapy groups and support groups to meet. It just depends on and that may just be like a California special thing. I don't know, but I have seen those.
Well, we also have what they call the health code lottery, don't we? Which is depending on where you live, depends on what kind of service you get.
Oh.
And because I live somewhere quite rural, we get nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I think when I first got diagnosed, they sent me a worker who just basically asked me some questions, asked me to try some CBT, and it was all useless. Didn't do nothing. And I think they tried me on the happy pills for a bit. One I had a very bad reaction to. One caused me to lose a load of weight. And then I tried one that just didn't seem to do anything at all. So I've managed to survive without medication for most of my life. I've just got used to it, And
there's also Help for Heroes as well. I don't know how expansive they are. I'm fairly sure they're one of the biggest, though.
Is there? You want me to find? I'll find links and I'll put those in the side chat or the screen chat for everybody. And you can help those.
Yeah, and I believe the suicide hotline is 1-800-TALK or something like that. Is the hotline here in the United States. I'll look that up and make sure. But Tiger Lily, you said there was some stuff you wanted to talk about. Do you want to go next, or?
Considering you're a patron.
She was suicidal. Huh? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna say considering you were a patron. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, it's my mom. Like growing up, I grew up with her being suicidal all my life. There's actually a time I actually had to save her life. I caught her downing all these pills and alcohol with it, and I had to call 911, and she was hallucinating and everything, and she thought there were spiders up on the walls, and she was freaking out and crying. It was just very mentally exhausting. Like I couldn't understand why she would want to do that. It was very hurtful, especially as a kid. Like it was like, why would you want, to leave me and, my brother, your son like that? And I need to be there for her as much as possible, but at the same time, it was just like hurtful too. Just felt like it was selfish of her in a way. Sorry, I get a little emotional. The last time she tried to was about 2 years ago, and she actually did die, but they brought her back to life. And she's just not mentally the same at all. I noticed like she repeats herself a lot, and I don't think she realizes she does it. And it's just like, I don't know, like I just try to be there and let her talk about it. I try not to make her feel guilty in any way, but like I said, at the same time, it's just mentally exhausting and hurtful. Sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry, Tug Lily. You're just explaining your experience. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment here.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to go through that as well.
Yeah, I mean, like when my father passed away when I was 15, it was the day after Princess Diana, actually. And she saw like how much, saw like how painful that was. And sorry.
It's fine. Take time, Tug Lily.
This is when I had to go, when I found out the news about my dad. We went to his place, and like the apartment door was open and the cops were there, and I saw him laying there on the floor, and I was just like, oh God, please don't, please get up.
It's okay, Lily. Take your time. If you want to stop, that's fine as well.
No, but I think my point is, I think she saw the kind of bullshit she was doing to us, and she did chill out for a little while with it, but I don't know, and then it just starts happening again, and you feel so fucking hopeless. I just don't know what to do to help someone. Sorry.
No, don't be. Just take your time.
You want to help, but you just feel very hopeless. I don't know how to get in her head, stop it.
No, are you kind of looking for us for advice on how to deal with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you maybe I'm being selfish, I don't know.
No, you're not. You're trying to save another human life. That's not selfish in any way, shape, or form. It really isn't. And thank you for also sharing that and being brave enough to share that with us in the first place, Lily. I appreciate it. But I suppose everyone's an individual, and I guess you have to treat them as individuals, as I've said before. if they're suicidal, and getting in someone's head to stop them from doing it is not an easy task. How open is she to discussion about how she feels and stuff? Like,
be pretty open about it, and other times, like Jensen, with his experience, like he just shuts herself off and doesn't want to talk to anyone. Sorry, that's my phone.
Oh, no problem.
It's just it depends on her mood.
Has she sort of ever sought help? Has she ever been to a doctor, been diagnosed with anything?
They give her, I know she was like on Valium, and I'm not sure of all the drugs. Sometimes they help and other times they don't. But also with her, like she also had problems with alcohol and drugs like cocaine, which seemed to make her bipolar.
She's been diagnosed with depression, or is it more than that?
I think it's more than that. I don't think as far as I know, I don't think she's been diagnosed with anything. It's like they just keep giving her drugs.
Yeah, a lot of doctors like to go down that route. It's really irritating to me that they do that. They do that shit over here as well. The first thing to do, Lily, is to get her diagnosed, and you're gonna have to push for it really hard, because you're not only gonna have to push her, but you're gonna have to push the doctor as well.
It's just sickening. They, like you said, they tie people up and they shove drugs in them. It's like they just want to be cared for and, be able to, feel like, I don't know how to put it. Like, just be treated like a human being.
I completely feel you. Yeah, absolutely. Lily, honestly, you need to drag her ass to the doctors, and she needs a formal diagnosis before you can even really move forward.
Okay.
More than anything else. 100%.
I'll just make her do it. If I maybe find someone that's not going to just give her drugs, will actually, help her.
Yeah, completely. NHS doctors do it over here, Lily, all the damn time, and it fucking annoys me. If you go to them, you say that you feel a little bit depressed or whatever, they won't look any further into it. They won't sort of give you a full MOT, if you will. What they'll do is they'll just put you on some shitty SSRI like citalopram, and then they'll send you on your way. The next step, they'll offer you maybe to go to a therapy group, but still no diagnosis. If your mum is that extreme and has been for that long, has issues with drugs, alcohol, suicide attempts, then I think there may be more to it than that. And I wholeheartedly recommend that you go to a doctor to get the proper advice and proper way forward. Because otherwise she'll just feel hopeless for longer.
I was going to say, when we're offline, Tiger Lily, give me your region, and we will go through and research places you can go. For both for both of you. Because there's groups for people in your position too.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in the States, but yeah, it is very difficult to get a diagnosis over here. Like Bear said, is that they will piss you around so much and try and fob it off that it's just a temporary thing and it will go away. And also, we said, fill you full of drugs as well, in the hope that it'll shut you up. And I was just one of the lucky ones who just happened to talk to a doctor who knew what he was talking about. And because most of the time, especially with mental illness, the way they diagnose it is by talking to you. It's the only way. There are obviously some they can, find evidence from things like blood samples and all that, but in vast majority, they will come to a diagnosis by actually talking to you about your life experiences and the things you've been going through. And because it wasn't until I read my report back that I suddenly realized what I'd said. If I had looked it up, I would have found what was wrong with me, but you don't know until you actually, you're spilling your guts to somebody. And almost like with us lot here tonight, we're not talking to each other as a person who knows exactly that person. So that's kind of what it was like.
Yeah.
I was talking to a total stranger who didn't know me, didn't know anything about me, so I could pretty much be honest, and that's how we got caught.
Right.
Well, it really depends on the doctor. There are good doctors and there are bad doctors even here in the States.
Of course there is.
Well, that's
Just as there are over here, you know. It's just a lot of the time doctors will do that shit, even over in America. It's really irritating when they do that shit.
Well, the other thing you need to do when you go in for a diagnosis, once they make that diagnosis, you really do need to put your foot down, because you can get the services. You just have to put your foot down and make a stink. It takes more work if you need it from the government here. You just make a stink. You can get assistance with the services you need, especially for the elderly. You just have to make sure they include therapy. All you have to do is make sure they include therapy, and that helps both of you a lot, because then what they do is they put you into programs where there is regular oversight to help with medications and things like that.
Yeah.
And if you have somebody who's chronically suicidal, it's really good to have somebody that has regular oversight.
Absolutely, yeah. And Lily, yeah, you might have to be aggressive with some people.
Yeah.
You might have to be.
And don't be afraid to be.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be. Social workers can take it. They can take it, especially when you're passionate about your family. They can.
Yeah.
They're trained to take it, actually.
Yeah, they very likely would have had far worse experiences with people in their time. So a few loud words will just go over their head, I'm sure. But yeah, go out there, kick some ass, Lily, and just getting into the point where you can hear some options would probably be very encouraging to you both.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah,
no worries.
It would probably make you feel better too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Have a huge weight lifted off.
Please keep us updated on that as well, Lily.
Okay, thank you. I will.
Well, and I'm reading the chat. Carl says, to the vets, if you feel like you can't ask for help, at the very least, go to your local VFW. Find the oldest, most grisly-looking vet at the bar and buy him a beer. It may be your best bet. So there's a little lightheartedness. Thank you, Carl. We needed that.
But it's true. Like, my son and my brother are both vets. So for us, like, veterans are a big deal. Like, they're very, very big deal. Like, we're very patriotic people. So we both know where to go to find help. Like, when we were looking for help moving, we didn't go put up a sign on like Craigslist. No, I went over to the VFW and I found vets that needed shit to do with their day that could help us move. Like, because it was better for all involved to go do so. Veterans are a very important part of American culture that it tends to be ignored. I don't know. It seems like it's kind of the same way in Britain though too, isn't it?
We have a much greater disregard for veterans.
Really?
Much. I noticed this when I visited America. Obviously, what you're saying to me does surprise me a little bit, because of the absolute sheer regard Americans have for veterans, and the amounts of, I know it sounds silly, but like discounts that you can get everywhere, or there's separate queues, for places for veterans specifically, and you get people coming up to it asking you for your service. When we turned up in Miami, I had the mayor of Miami come up to me and shake my hand, even though I was covered in paint at the time. And I said not to shake my hand, but he still did and thanked me for my service. Do you know how weird that was for me? Do you know how alien that was for me?
Really?
It freaked me out a little bit, yeah. It's only really since the start of the Afghan and Iraqi conflicts with such a massive push by the working class of this country to sort of create these sort of new charities, because Help for Heroes wasn't around before then. I imagine groups like the British Legion, there's so many, there's that many, I can't name them all now, ways that people can go to get help with different charities and whatnot. But you won't get that attitude from British people for the most part.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, Americans, we kind of, there is a bit of a militaristic aspect to American culture where we really do appreciate the amount of work and service, because you sacrifice your rights to be a service member in America, and I'm pretty sure you do the same thing in Britain. I've heard you talking about this before.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of shocked.
You become the Queen's property, as I was told.
America, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a perfect example is of that, like of losing your rights. If you can be arrested twice if you're a serviceman, you can be punished twice. So if you commit a crime outside, let's say you get in a fight or something, the police can arrest you and deal you out of the charge, and then the armed forces will then charge you as well.
Oh, gosh.
Like, yeah.
That's
and obviously you have to be in certain places at certain times, and if you don't go back, you know, you go to prison. You go to military prison. So yeah, there's your rights taken away. So some of your rights taken away in some regard. Yeah, but no, we don't have the same attitude towards veterans here.
That's kind of shocking. That's kind of really shocking.
Yeah.
World War I and World War II, I'm completely floored.
Like I remember I was in a hotel in Portland and I saw a service member he was in his uniform with his fucking gunny pet sack or whatever, probably getting ready to catch a taxi or whatever. And I actually walked up and said, "Thank you for your service," and shook his hand, and he looked shocked. So even in America, I mean, there's not.
Yeah, my son's very uncomfortable when people say thank you for your service, but that's just because he never got to go down range because of his MOS.
Okay, but yeah, no, the guy like looked actually shocked and fucking shook my hand, and we sat there and talked for a few minutes. Like, yeah, I mean, that was the first and only time I've ever actually done that. But then again, you can't just point out a military, a service member out of the crowd if he's not wearing his damn uniform.
Oh, my girls have no problem shouting "thank you for your service" at anybody they see in uniform. We're from Texas. We lived in Texas for a decade. Two of my kids are just purely, their personalities are nothing but Texan. They see somebody, we've been driving down the road, and they'll stick their head out and shout, "Thank you for your service." I mean,
that's so adorable.
So we're used to the shocked look, but I didn't realize it's because it was an uncommon thing. It's for us, and maybe that comes from living in the South for a decade. I don't know.
That's wonderful.
Well, their brothers are their brother and their uncle are both veterans, and so it's very near and dear to their little hearts.
That warms my heart quite a lot, actually. That makes me feel pretty good. I like that.
I'm glad I can make somebody stay better. I hope it helps somebody at least, because
the idea is really cute to me. That's really nice, actually. I like that.
Yeah,
I think it might be a European thing, because I've worked with one of my work colleagues is ex-Navy, and when we were doing a job in Germany once, just in conversation, I can't remember how it came up. I think we must have been talking about it, and our site contact realized that he was ex-Navy and then refused to talk to him. Just as soon as he found out he was, ex-services, didn't want anything to do with him. I had to be their go-between, and he wouldn't have anything to do with him. There seems to be a sort of a weird kind of, I don't know if it's just because of disrespect from our governments or from our just establishment, but there's no respect.
I expect that kind of attitude from military towns, not on that level. I'm surprised by that.
He might have been ex, I don't know, I didn't ask. But it was really, really strange, the way his attitude is totally, because he was so polite to both of us, was real nice, and then just literally in conversation, we were probably joking about something, and he overheard, and that was it. Didn't want anything to do with him then. I don't know if it was because he was British Navy or what, but very strange.
Europeans don't like us anyway, so fuck Europe.
Well, we didn't like where we were anyway, so he probably overheard us taking the piss out of where we were staying.
Well, Europeans don't like Europeans, so I mean,
we're very strange, like in that respect. We don't seem to like each other or ourselves very much.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just a continent of the mentally ill. I don't know.
Moody bastards. I don't view myself as European, by the way. Just wanted to put that out there.
Europe's in its edgy phase right now. That's what it is.
Well, I'm wondering, if you guys don't like each other, how exactly is the European Union going to work out?
It's not.
Oh, now you are trying to make us depressed, Mad Dodge.
Sorry, we should probably move on before we end up talking politics.
Yeah, I was going to say, you realize there's a mountain of Americans that are staring at Europe going, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, before you do move on, I said, Mad Dodge, I wouldn't be here long. I've got to go to bed. But nice talking to you all, especially you, Beth. Nice to have you on. And Mr. Quinn, I do doff my fedora, mate. And I will message you tomorrow, all right?
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Ah, bollocks. You're something else.
See you later,
Yeah. Yeah, now you add the word special to that.
Call her a hag before you leave. No,
I don't need to. You just did it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Tema, there was some stuff you wanted to share. So because I want to get through the sharing part, and then we can go on to what we actually do to help. So
I'm 41 years old, so I'm quite possibly the oldest person on the panel today. Except for I think Bollocks who left. I'm from Generation X. I'm from the generation of people that died of AIDS and suicide. Most of the suicide that I saw was untreated mental illness coupled with drug use. Suicide, at least in my experience with the people that I know that are still alive, because I'm not joking when I say I've lost at least half of my graduating class was dead before we hit 35. AIDS and drugs and suicide as a combination really did a lot of damage to the children that grew up in the 70s and 80s. We learned quickly to look for symptoms within each other of suicide. By the time I was in middle school, I had 3 friends hang themselves. Or by the time I finished middle school, I had 3 friends hang themselves. That's I think primary for Britain. It's up to 8th or 9th year for Europe. So by the time I was 14, I had already buried 3 friends from suicide. It was something we were aware of. By the time I was 17, I had buried over 20 people I knew from suicide, including my own aunt. I think that has calloused me in some ways when it comes to suicide. I don't feel anger for people that commit suicide. I feel sadness. I feel sadness because I know that they weren't able to fight whatever was there. And other than that, I just feel the sadness of you didn't win. I don't feel any bitterness anymore. Plus, I agree with if people are committing suicide for medical reasons. Like, if I end up with terminal cancer and I know I'm not going to make it, I don't want to do that slow hospice death. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no point in doing it. So,
yeah, but Tema, I don't really understand how you could let go of that bitterness. Okay, my friend, the reason we're doing this stream, I still have his picture like right up here above my computer, and I keep kind of looking at it, and I'm still pissed off at him. Like, I'm still fucking mad.
well, yeah, okay. I've had 24 years. Sorry, I can still add. I've had 24 years since my aunt committed suicide, and I've been able to let go of that. I was never really angry at her. Honestly, all of my upset was that I wasn't able to reach her in a way that showed her she still had value. So I know how important it is to have a support group. Okay, that's why I keep talking about support groups. Because even with all the suicide prevention in the world, there are still people that are going to commit suicide. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. And we have to have a way for everybody to understand the value of their own lives. And I think part of the way we do that is we stop stigmatizing mental health. We don't have a social stigma for cancer or leprosy. Why do we have a social stigma for depression and PTSD? I don't understand this. I can see being concerned about, people's ability to grasp reality when coming with delusional disorders, but I don't understand the stigma we have with mental health. I don't. Being a depressive doesn't make you less human. Even being schizophrenic doesn't make you less human. It just means you're a person that has schizophrenia. It's something we need to start talking about as a society. For me personally, it crushed me when my aunt killed herself because I had just a few months prior, I had taken off. I wasn't like a runaway, like, oh, I'm running away from home because I'm mad at my parents. No, it was, oh, I have a bunch of drugs. And my friends and I read Hunter S. Thompson and thought it would be a great idea to hitchhike across the country for fun at 17. So I did that, and I decided, oh, I'm going to go see my aunt while we're running through Texas. But I went to Houston instead of Dallas because I was a 17-year-old druggie. So for a long time, I carried guilt about that. When I was, close to 30, I realized there was nothing I could have done because she wasn't talking to anybody anyway. I wouldn't have known. So, and maybe that's where I made the realization that I can help and I can do everything I can, but I can't save anybody on my own. Not if I'm thinking I'm the one that's going to save them when they have to save themselves. And I think that's probably the part that we get angry at people for, is that we're mad they didn't save themselves. They didn't make that choice. And I can see where you're still bitter about it, Matt. I don't blame you at all. I've just had more than 2 decades to get past it.
Well, no, and it's like the last time I saw him, like I said, he always said, see you later, buddy, or whatever, peace. He actually left and then turned around, came back, and said goodbye. And I'm like, goodbye? We're going fishing tomorrow morning, right? He's like, yeah, we are. And he left. I never saw him again. Like at that moment, maybe I could have done something. I was oblivious. I don't know.
And I think that may be where a lot of our personal anger stems from at people. It's hard to understand unless you have your own form of, depression or suicide you deal with. And maybe that's what it is. I have a sister that has mental health issues. And an aunt who's committed suicide. And my sister has some pretty heavy mental health issues, and I'm not going to get into them on a stream or anything, but they're debilitating. We'll put it that way. So she's attempted suicide a lot of times, and she never warns anybody. She doesn't say anything. She just, it happens. You know what I mean? It's been several times now. So and maybe it's because I have mental health issues in my own family. So to me, it's not a stigma. It's my family. It's just a disease that we're trying to help somebody fight. And I can't be mad at her. I can't be mad at her for trying to fight and not being able to win the fight sometimes. I can't blame her because I'm seeing her fight. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? And maybe that's why I have less bitterness towards my aunt not being able to win the fight, is because I'm watching my sister do it on the daily. And I'm seeing how hard that struggle actually is. So for me, there's that huge amount of compassion that I don't know how to breach that gap for them. And I think we do ourselves a disservice when we just stay angry and we're missing the level of struggle some of these people are facing. I don't. Is that too heavy? Am I going in the wrong direction here?
You've given me a lot of fucking things to think about, and I need to try to remember everything that I kind of want to keep in my head.
Yeah, okay. I know.
Because I can use this sort of matching my own experiences with this shit. So first and foremost, I have a hypothesis regarding stigma, and I put it down to 3 different things. And the first one being mental health is invisible, and that I think that's one of the big reasons why it does have a stigma behind it, especially when people hear things like PTSD and stuff. It's invisible. Whereas a lot of soldiers, Jensen, for example, I believe he has PTSD. I'm not entirely sure whether you do or not. It's not up for me to decide that or diagnose with it, but it certainly sounds like you do. Most soldiers, for example, have physical injuries, and obviously Jensen there does, but most people see it as that. And also there's a lot of people out there that just don't seem to realize that PTSD can affect anybody for any traumatic reason. And that's just PTSD alone, on its own. Embarrassment, things like that, being afraid to speak about it because humans also have a comparing mind. Yes. I think that's a great, especially westernized people. I've been sat here the entire time comparing myself to you lot, thinking how fucking shit I am and how pathetic I am. Jesus Christ. Even though I know one person's experience does not take away from another's, but still, I would say the comparing mind, invisibility, and fuck, what was my third reason? There was a third reason I came up with in my head as well. I can't remember. Comparing.
The unpredictability of mental, I think the unpredictability of some mental illnesses is very frightening to people too. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd certainly say so as well. Yeah.
I think a lot of the stigma from mental, attached to mental illness comes from, historically, from Christianity and superstition and ignorance.
Well, it wasn't just Christianity that had mental disorders. It's religion in general. It's mysticism.
Yeah.
There are certainly many different aspects to it. I'd say many different aspects to it, especially if you come from a very sort of old school family as well, where it's kind of like that, show of weakness, which I'd say is definitely the most prevalent with soldiers in particular. Not they may not have come from a hard family, but they were made robust individuals, and they had that drilled into their fucking heads when they were in basic training. So to show any kinds of weakness, even to themselves, is a stigma they apply to themselves, when it really isn't. It shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately, a lot of people kind of see it that way. I don't disparage. I don't disparage people for having that attitude, but got to realize, man, people have their experiences, and it's not a fucking joke, and it's not weak to have these things by any fucking means.
No, everybody's got a crack in their personality, their fatal flaw, and with the really strong people, that crack, it's when they're shown where they're weak. That's taking away the support which keeps them level. Which we've all got it, yeah. And if it's attacked, we crumble. Happens to everybody. It can happen to everybody, I should say, and that's what most people don't understand. Because I remember when I was a kid, if I took the mickey out of some of the kid because he had something wrong with him, and they just told me off. And one of the things she said was just stuck with it is, your life isn't over yet. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You might end up worse than him.
Got to be careful with that comparing mind.
Yeah.
You really do. I find that I also find that the comparing thing, especially because we all do it. I think it's definitely a negative trait that humans have, comparing. I think it's incredibly dangerous to do, because especially with the sort of the advent of social media as well, you're always comparing yourself to somebody else, even in jobs or whatever. It's definitely, and I would say there's one more aspect to it. Well, two more aspects. First and foremost, mental health services suck, right? They're just not to the standard that they need to be to help the amount of people that need the assistance. Because we, as a society, we've understood it more and more. And and if you look at not even that far in history, families would commit their family members to sanitariums because they've it's sort of embarrassing family members or stuff.
Yeah,
and that's how people with mental health problems were treated, and it's not so much the case anymore, but they still have that type of service there, and obviously the treatment's gotten considerably better, but there are certainly different. Well, I'd probably say 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 reasons why there is such a stigma. It also depends on how your family and friends react to these things as well. Because, you know, I've sat down there, I've spoken to friends and stuff and told them about these things and how I was feeling and feeling low and wanting to fucking hang myself and stuff like that. And they have lost their fucking mind. Like, they've just arse blasted me, which, to be fair, that works with me, right? But it doesn't work with everybody.
So you're saying you like a good arse blasting?
You know, there's been a lot of quotes that I've said today that I can be quoted for that I really shouldn't have said.
We're having one there, are we?
I've been streaming for too long today, but you understand my point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told people that I suffered bouts of depression before, and my cousin's youngest son, he'd be about 38 now. It says, "Well, come out with us, we'll cheer you up." That's not depression. That's being depressed. There's a difference.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, no, see, and that's where I'm coming from, is I don't really get the difference. I can't really wrap my head around it. I've never been there.
Shall I explain it to you? Because obviously you're looking at it from the outside in, and this sort of kind of harkens back to an article that I recently read. If you type into Google reasons not to commit suicide, there's an article that comes up, and it has about 10 reasons. It's mainly specific. It's mainly aimed at people who are suicidal that have families and kids and stuff specifically, but there are many other like lists that I would say that have been helpful to other suicidal people. I've just completely lost my fucking train of thought. Oh, Jesus Christ. What was I saying?
I'm so glad.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to explain from your side, wasn't I? And people, when they're locked in it, it never goes away. Depression or a chemical imbalance in the brain is forever there. It doesn't go away. They made it. The people with depression can be happy. They can go out. They can have a good time. But it sneaks back up on them. And when it hits them hard, and they get locked into their head, and they can't see outside of it. They don't take family into consideration. They don't take, kids or friends into consideration. And when they get suicidal, when they've convinced themselves that they're worthless or not worth anything, and think that everyone would be better off without them, they enter what I call tunnel vision. And when they do that, they can't see anything else.
Yeah, another thing about. Sorry, go ahead.
That's pretty much they can't see anything else.
Yeah.
They just see their own pain.
Yeah, we call it myopic dystopia in our house.
Yeah. You call it what? Sorry.
We call it myopic dystopia in our house.
Oh, okay.
That worked.
But you get what I'm saying. They get locked into this sort of vision. They can't see out of it at all. They don't realize that if they follow through with this, they're going to destroy the lives of other people. They don't know what's going to happen once their body is left there, and the fact that there'll be most likely a police investigation. Your family members are going to be investigated. Anybody you've ever texted in the last couple of days is going to be investigated. There's a chance that your kids might see your fucking body. They don't take any of that consideration because they can't see it.
No, because they're stuck in the sad. They're stuck in they're in their own head. Yeah, it's like they put themselves in their own cage. They've dropped themselves in the oubliette.
Like death to them is the only solution.
It gets desperate. It gets very desperate, and it's really hard to snap people out of that. And there are a few people you can shout at. I've seen a few people you can shock back into to reality a bit, but honestly, most people actually, statistically speaking, most people don't, do they? I mean, look at suicide rates.
Yeah. I know this is a silly thing to say, but like I said, I suffer from bouts of depression, but I think having a pet helps me a lot.
Having support.
Yeah.
That too. But I'm by myself most of the time, so I've got a cat, and it's not human, but it's still company, and it's a responsibility as well.
Yes. Yes, that motivation to stay alive. That is really, really hard. My aunt recently lost her cat when she killed herself. She had just lost her reason, and she hadn't replaced the cat.
I'm sorry about that. I find one of the things with depression is when you're going through a bout, you stop looking after yourself.
Yep.
That's why my teeth are in a deplorable state.
Oh, that's just from having kids for me. But
I thought you were going to say, "Oh, that's just for being English."
Yeah, I was about to say, I was expecting that to sort of be brought up there.
We do have a bit of a bad rep when it comes to that, don't we?
We do. We do.
Well, looking at the chat, MC brought up a little bit ago how a lot of the problem with veterans, especially, lies with people falsely claiming to have PTSD, and how that kind of sheds the light from the veterans issue. And I think that's, you know, a good thing to bring up. Jensen, what do you think on that? What about people like falsely claiming they have PTSD because, I don't know, Trump got elected or something stupid?
Or somebody did something nasty to them on the internet.
Yeah, they are. Well, do you know what? I'm not going to sit there and rant about how, you know, scummy they are or anything like that. They've obviously got other mental issues that need some sort of help. PTSD is not something you wish on people.
No.
And you definitely don't want it yourself.
No. I agree. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want, I would never wish, no, I don't know when I'm going to freak out because somebody walks in a room behind me. Are you serious? I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
I would never wish that on anybody.
If I could just jump in for a second. Lily?
Yes.
Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm okay. Sorry, I'm just listening and watching the chat.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm too quiet. I'm just listening.
It's fine. I just wanted to make sure, you know, that you're all right. You're fine. Okay, cool. Carry on, guys.
Yeah,
sorry,
I'm
I
just
didn't mean to
taking
interrupt
everything everyone's saying.
Okay.
Well, no, there's a reason to be asking, though. That you were crying a little bit. So, yeah. Thanks, Irate, for asking her, because I was kind of wondering if she was all right as well.
Lily, I'm
emotional. Sorry. I wish I wasn't.
Lily, you have absolutely no reason to apologise.
I think it's important to talk about these things. I know a lot of people are like, oh, fucking just get on with it. But the male, without wishing to take away from female experience, but male suicide is fucking high.
Yep.
In America and in the United Kingdom. And the conversation needs to be fucking had.
It does.
I'm kind of lucky in that respect. Because my unemployed status, I got suggested to go on this course, and it was a suicide prevention course. So I suppose in a way that's another thing which is keep me going. But it helps if I were to come across anybody. Yeah, because you taught all the techniques of how to dissuade somebody, how to get them talking, engage them. And once they're engaged, they'll start thinking about things, especially if you can point stuff out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's simple and common sense stuff. So
making them laugh if you can.
Yes,
can be enough.
Or
a simple dad joke, or making them angry. Yeah. It's fucking more useful than sorrow.
There's one of the situations, because you're given scenarios to run through. Somebody's given a part to play, and you've got to talk them down. And one of the ones was this lad who was in the group. His part that he was playing was he discovered that his wife had been interfering with the children, and all the depression that brings on a parent, irrespective of male and female. He was good. So my way of getting to stop was to get him angry and to point out that if he does that, there's going to be no hope for the kid.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I lost it.
Conversation.
If I could just quickly jump in with a response to Ain't Jack there in the chat, who says male suicides are so high because they are trying to treat them like they treat women. Take men out fishing and don't say anything. Let them set the pace. Well, I disagree a bit because everyone's an individual, and I've stopped a few male suicides in my time, and different things work for different people. But there are services in the UK, even civilian side, in terms of LHS, where they have things like that. What is it called, Batman? You fucking remember? You must know. What is it? The Men in Shed. Is it Men in Sheds?
Yes, I think
fucking
it's Men
program.
in Sheds.
It's such a trivial thing when you. I had a doctor explain it to me recently. It's so fucking trivial. They had this course, right, where they try to get all these guys into a room. They try to get as many as they can, and they put a vacuum cleaner in the middle of the fucking room, and they say, right, there's something wrong with that, fix it. And then them all sort of trying to work together to take it apart to try and figure out what's wrong with it helps them.
Yeah.
Mad.
Like, keep them busy.
Yeah. Injak saying most men don't respond well to talking. That's not strictly true. We will talk whilst we're trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to catch me sitting down with a psychiatrist, all right? It's not going to fucking happen. Like, there's no fucking way.
As I said, everyone's an individual, are they not?
Yeah.
Everyone is reacts differently to these kinds of things. Some people, psychiatry therapy, talking therapy works. Not for everybody.
Man, what if the psychiatrist is pouring you a beer and standing behind a bar? No, I'm being serious.
Yeah, no. I will talk to a bartender before I would talk to a psychiatrist. You have a good point
cheaper.
there.
Yeah. Fucking cheaper. I would agree that men certainly would probably, as the majority of men would react better to a group action thing with other guys. But the problem is getting them out of the house, getting them to do it is a different task entirely.
Yeah.
Especially if they have severe anxiety, which is something to consider when doing these kinds of things.
And then you get some guys, the best treatment for them is to give them a pair of boxing gloves, put them in a gym and point them at the sandbag.
Yeah.
Yep.
Other ones rebuilding a car. Other ones sitting and actually talking, doing equations. It all depends on the person. You have to give them an environment that you have to learn their communication language, basically. And I think that's what it is, because everybody has their own communication language. Some people it's physical, some people it's verbal, some people it's visual, or aspects thereof. That's what I really dislike about mental health is we see it, especially in America. It's way too formulaic.
There's a big difference in American mental health and British mental health. I think America is more pharmaceutical.
Oh, yes. We have a pill for everything. There's like 24 different types of antipsychotics and antidepressants now.
I simultaneously agree and disagree with that, Batman.
No?
I think Americans have a wider selection of medication, but our doctors will be bastards and just try to put you on citalopram.
You know, honestly, like, I never seen so many friggin' commercials about drugs.
Oh, it's incredible.
As I've gotten older. Yeah, like, tons of them.
Yeah, they've probably always been there. You're just starting to notice them as you get older.
Maybe.
No. We've had a lifting of regulations. What kinds of medications can be advertised. And that's leading to the increase you're seeing. That was
Hey, Irene, there's a question for you. You just put in a chat there. You think that's got anything to do with male depression? Is the removal of men-only spaces?
Yeah, I can't put it all down to that, but
well, not all of it, no.
And I know there are still some men's clubs. For those who don't know, here in the UK, it's quite an age-old tradition, really, isn't it? Especially like old school miners and stuff would go to men's clubs, and it would be a bar for men only, and they would obviously it'd be a couple of nights a week or whatever, and they could go there, male-only space, have banter, chill the fuck out, get on with it. You know what I mean?
It's called a men's club in America.
Yeah, because we need that. Men need a space that can go to where there are no women. Women need a space that can go to where there are no men.
Mm-hmm.
It's endemic to how we evolved, really. Because we evolved as hunter-gatherers. Men would go out hunting, women would go out gathering. I mean, yes, we need to mix together as male and female, but we also need our space apart from each other as well.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I actually quite like that idea. that's kind of like what the Freemasons are still doing here in the States, right?
Oh,
Or you have other clubs like here in Oregon, they have the Moose Lodge and the Elks, stuff like that. I mean, it's just they're dying out as the population is aging and the younger people aren't flooding in. These clubs are slowly closing down, right?
And they're being replaced with things like the Proud Boys. I mean, there's still America is still embracing masculine culture. We're just having to fight hard to be able to do it. Legislatively, perhaps not, but I mean, culturally, we aren't letting anybody stop us from men's groups getting together. I mean, we still have some areas in the South. I think there are strip clubs that are still strictly men's only, unless you're an employee.
I think. Sorry, you haven't finished.
No, I was going to say, you know, I'm trying to think. There's car clubs that are mostly men. A lot of motorcycle clubs are men only. I think it's a little different in America, but we are, you know, we still do have the encroaching feminism that's trying to say, you know, boys are really just fucked up girls and they need to be able to do everything like girls. And I think that is like the worst way to look at children and people.
Yes, it is. I wonder this encroachment of feminism into everything in society, you know, and pushing men to the fringes is a cause of what they're calling toxic masculinity.
Oof.
Now, get some guys that are that honestly do
But Batman, that's a ridiculous concept at the very least. If I dump out a pile of toys in front of my twins, all right, twins, one boy, one girl. I dump out a pile of toys. You know what my daughter is gonna grab? The baby doll. You know what my son's gonna grab? The toy gun.
And shoot the doll.
That's just the way it fucking is.
The baby doll, I know.
I wasn't going that route, but fair enough, sir. Well played.
It pisses me off, man.
My little girls would have grabbed the baby doll in the tractor, shoved the baby doll in the tractor, and driven down the road with the tractor.
My cousin says, son and daughter, his son will grab the baby doll and the gun and hold it to ransom until his sister gives him her sweets.
Oh.
But what was it about what the feminists call toxic masculinity? It seems to be some men, I'd say, overreacting to the encroachment of feminism into all things that once were male. I mean,
it's not an overreaction.
In some cases, the extreme cases, it is.
It's okay. Extreme cases, possibly, but I was going to say, being virulently against the concept of toxic masculinity is something I can totally get behind, considering my progressive mother disowned me because she said my husband is too toxically masculine.
Yeah, I don't like the phrase anyway, but you know, that's why I said so called.
Your husband is too toxically masculine, though. He wants to have a duel with me over you because I like your tits.
Sure, of course he is. He's German.
No, he's American, thank you, but okay.
But no, okay, so as a society, yeah, this conversation needs to be had, right?
Yes.
But what else can we exactly do other than please donate to the charities that Tema and I believe Sherardi both have been spamming the chat with. Do not donate $1 to me tonight. If you want to give $1, give it to them. Let's help the veterans. And how dare they survive overseas and come home and kill themselves? It's ridiculous. Please donate to one of those charities. That being said, what as a society can we actually do about this? Mental health awareness, obviously. I mean, look at the shootings that have been going on. That's a direct correlation with mental health, right?
Well, yeah, you can't be a stable individual and walk into a building and shoot it up.
Well, you can't. Yeah, and you'll find a lot of these people are people that have been put on medications and they've stopped taking them, or they've just been put on medications. Perhaps the medications are part of the problem too. There's a whole lot of things here. You know, the best mental health therapy most people get is through one-on-one discussions, and it may not be a clinically trained psychologist or a clinically trained therapist, but it's being able to walk through everything you've experienced, unpack it, see it for what it is, and then put it away. I think once you name a thing, you kind of control a thing. That is Socratically true, in the sense that once you name a thing, you can understand what it is, and there's less fear associated with it. I think one way we can do that as people, stop being afraid to ask somebody if they're okay. And when they say, yeah, I'm fine, you can push. It's okay. It's okay to have an argument with somebody. If it's something that brings an importance to light, it's okay to have the argument. And I think we have a society where we think it's civilized means you don't argue. But civilized just means that you don't hit each other. And we need to get past this idea that the niceties are where we stop when we actually care. I think that would be a big step.
See, I kind of agree with you in the sense that it's potentially the medications, because, okay, being an epileptic, to bring up something that's known by just about everybody in Dodge's server, some of the medications that I take also help people with depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I don't take said medication, I will have grand mal seizures. But the reverse goes for people with depression. If they don't take those medications, they will slip into their depressions, and God knows what those people will do.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, as well, when you look at it, the more they push for gun control and the mentally ill not being allowed to own guns in America, the more people are not going to
have. Yes.
Yeah, the more people are not going to go seek help. They're just going to fucking ignore it, right?
Very true.
But that's what I was trying to get to, is we have a bunch of people that, one, are afraid to say that they have any mental health issues, because we have Congress people talking about revoking your Second Amendment rights if they even get a hint of you having mental problems. I think it's California, or it may be federal law, but I think it may be California. If you get a neurological or a brain scan for any reason, they will revoke your right to own guns.
Yeah, no, and you have veterans, people that went and fought for their country, coming home with PTSD and then being told they can't own a gun. Okay, they can have a gun to shoot another human being for the government, but they can't come home and protect themselves.
Ridiculous. Sorry, Han, just I need to say that.
Say
it,
I
agree.
I was just agreeing.
She wants you to repeat yourself.
Yeah, Jensen, I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry. Apologies. It's ridiculous. I mean, if at the end of the day, if you're a veteran, you know how to use your weapons. God's sakes, they teach you this stuff. And I know you're going to say, yes, but in America, you get all this training. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. But at the end of the day, the military training, it's just more than a lot of people out there have. And then you try to say that they can't have a weapon. I'm sorry, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it really is.
A good point to also bring up, Jensen, I'd say, is that soldiers in particular, not necessarily the entirety of the armed forces, do something called bayonet training, which isn't really teaching you how to stab someone in the chest, twist, and throw. I'd say it's a lot more to do with controlling unadulterated rage. And soldiers are taught that as well. So I don't see why they would.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, sir.
Oh, sir, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I saw in the chat you said something about cadet training. Or are you talking about like
Oh, I don't believe you guys have what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the army cadets and
I'm talking about a volunteer military cadet force that Yeah, kids. Not to serve like that, but just as like a club, like how we do it over here in the UK. They are technically associated with the armed forces, but they're not soldiers. Most of them, you'll have army cadets, you'll have navy cadets, air force cadets, all that kind of stuff, and they'll go to like community buildings a couple times a week for a couple of hours. They'll have volunteer instructors, and they'll do things, you know. They'll learn how to use weapons. They'll learn how to sort of maintain a uniform, learn discipline, learn drill. They'll go off and sort of do weekends away. Our cadet forces even do leadership courses, for fuck's sake.
They also learn self-worth.
Yeah. They teach you how to use a weapon properly and how to be safe with it. You take part in, you know, I imagine if you guys did it, it would be like the 4th of July and Veterans Day, which of course is coming up on Sunday. For us, it's Armistice Day, you know. When I was a kid, I led the guard for my local Remembrance Day. For fuck's sake, I think it would be very beneficial for that to become much more prevalent in society. You know,
America has a couple of after-school programs that work with the military. One of them is ROTC, and I cannot for the life of me remember what that stands for.
I know, that's what I was trying to remember too. Was ROTC
Reserve Officer Training Corps?
Okay, thank you. But and I know the figures. Britners.
It was on Happy Days once.
I actually hung out with a bunch of ROTC, and then
that's the one. That's the one you guys have. That's it. Yeah.
It's a good after school program. You'll find a lot of vets go and they'll mentor inner city kids to the ROTC programs in larger cities. It's a good.
Well, no, actually, if you graduate from that program and you do join the military, you get an officer's rank immediately, I believe. So there is a benefit.
College, yes.
I got told when I was in the Army Cadets that I'd actually made history. My region. I was the first Army Cadet who was threatened with the glass house. I was not a nice kid.
Whereas I was actually sent to the glass house as well.
With you super gluing your, what was it, principal's hand to the whole frickin' door, I can see why.
Funny enough, that the thing in the Army Cadets involves super glue as well.
Jesus Christ.
So here's the thing. In the United States, a lot of our homeless population is veterans. There are a lot of private charities that do help veterans and do help the homeless population. But is it mental health issues that are driving them to become homeless in the first place? Because to me, it seems so.
Possibly. Yes. I was going to say a lot of the male suffers from depression in society, and a lot of the male suicides are actually ex-servicemen because they leave the armed forces, and a lot of them find it almost impossible to readjust to civilian life. They've lost the sense of purpose, of self-worth. They've lost their place, and nobody seems to want to give them a place.
And an added part of that as well is a lot of them would have been somebody, in the armed forces, and they came out, and then suddenly they're not somebody anymore. They don't hold that rank. They don't hold that, that sway. People don't know them, and I would say absolutely, man. Post-traumatic stress disorder is no fucking joke. And a lot of soldiers tend to react extremely badly to it. Alcohol, fits of rage, fighting, all that kind of stuff, and they'll sort of end up on the street a lot of the time. It's not all the time, but it's a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think my dad would have gone that way if it wasn't for, like, when we moved back. My dad was born in 1935, so extended family, and a big group of friends was moved back to where he was basically born. Now he grew up, so he had that to fall back on, which a lot of them don't.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Support is key.
There's a friend of mine. He served in the Oregon National Guard. He served in Iraq twice. The second time, a woman came out of a house holding a AK-47 and a child. He had to put her down. he still wakes up screaming. Yeah. So I mean, the veterans really need our help. Once again, guys, the charities have been posted in the chat. If you want to donate tonight, please donate to one of the veterans charities. Either the one out of the UK, the Sumerians, or the one out of the United States.
You mean the Samaritans?
Yeah, whatever. I said it wrong. I always say stuff wrong. Fuck off, Batman.
I was going to say
After all, look how he pronounces my name.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the Sumerians don't come from the UK.
Whatever. No. Oh, okay. First off, I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. You want me to talk right? Come on now. You got everything all fucked up. But no, it's just stories like that and stories like what Jensen led off the show with, pretty much. These people, they need help after they come home, right? I mean,
yeah. They should get it because I mean they've been serving their country, and I think more so in the UK and the US, ex-servicemen are just cast aside. There's no like veterans hospitals or anything like that over here. In fact, there's no support structure for ex-servicemen over here at all.
Really, you guys don't have a VA or nothing? First off, the VA is shit in the United States, but at least it's there. You guys don't have a version of that?
I'm fairly sure there isn't anything like that. I mean, when you leave, it doesn't matter how long you've done, they give you kind of like a quote unquote severance package, if you like. I'm not sure if that's the right word I'm using. Where they give you a bunch of information, like unless you served a certain amount of time, they won't like retrain you to do anything. But they do give you a bunch of information about how to get jobs and shit. They do give you information about the British Legion and a couple of other sort of military sort of charities and stuff, or ex-military charities, if you will. But other than that, I was never sort of told about any kind of veterans association. I was given a badge, a little pin, and that was about it. Told to fuck off at the gate.
Well,
what is a little pin supposed to do for you?
It's just I'm a veteran, yay.
well, real quick, if I may ask, where did you see any time overseas? Did you go to Iraq or Afghanistan? Or
No. I served 5.5 years in the Royal Navy. I didn't see any combat during that time. Came fucking close to it a few times. Did see some fucked up shit, but I certainly can't compare myself to Jensen over there, who's seen fucking absolutely horrible fucking things. But I've been deployed. I've been part of operations. I've been to some of the just disgusting fucking third world shitholes you could imagine in my time.
Like Birmingham.
Like Birmingham. No, places like West Africa and stuff, and seeing true poverty in South America back before they started sort of purging the favelas and things like that. But no, I was very much into the life back then, and I had mental health problems before going in, I think, and I just never dealt with them. And I think being in made it worse for me. Hence my time in Colchester. That's the glass house, otherwise known as military prison. A bit of an anger issue that never really got dealt with. I certainly can't compare myself to anybody in this stream. I think you've all had it far worse than myself. My experiences come from majority childhood stuff. I did see some fucked up shit in the Navy, but I didn't see combat. So
yeah, I've got my issues, but I've got to admit there for what a lot of you have said, that I've got it easy.
Yeah.
Well, as I've said, I don't really have issues myself. There's only one time I ever actually contemplated suicide.
That was when the Dodgers lost.
Yeah. Okay, fuck you, Batman. That was pretty good. But no, it was over a girl. I was fucking 16 years old, and I was a fucking idiot. And my little sister walked in the room. I put the 38 down, and I never thought about it again. Now,
so
if
you
I
were a
was an
teenager?
idiot... Yeah, but what if I would have squeezed the trigger? It was loaded. I made sure. I mean,
I felt like when I was 16, I went through something similar, only there was no gun involved. I was contemplating a Stanley knife, and then I found out the girl that had dumped me is now going out with his total dickhead. And that's what made me put the Stanley knife down, because revenge is when the other person makes a bad choice.
I like you, Batman. God damn it. But I mean, no, the wrap it back around, irate.
You want me to explain my sort of why I am the way I am?
Well, I
there's no
guess
explaining that.
I guess, kind of. I have seen you do some streams before. I do remember not long ago you had to put out pretty much a PSA saying, "Hey, YouTube, I'm not going to kill myself."
Someone reported me being suicidal to YouTube. Though, you know what? As a creator, if you get an email from YouTube in your main inbox, it's like, oh shit, someone struck me. But that was a very strange thing. But my personal experiences mainly come from my experiences with other people, and kind of the treatment that I received at the hands of my father. Just being abandoned by a lot of people in my life for being a socially awkward, ADHD, spastic, I guess. There's only so many times that can happen to you. Do you start to realize that actually maybe you might be a piece of shit and think to yourself that you're a scumbag over and over again?
All right, I'm going to cut it in just a second. You are absolutely adorable and humorous as hell, and when you're with Sinatra and Drunken, you're even more funny.
I want to kill myself when I'm with those two. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. No, if you just let me finish, otherwise I'll go way off the beat there. My experiences just come from like being bullied as a kid, being abandoned, and seeing some pretty nasty stuff happen to my mom, and so going through the Navy, sort of finally finding myself in life, and then coming out stupidly during the recession, like my father did before me, and then not knowing what the fuck to do or who I am. And that kind of messed me up a little bit, and losing job after job after job after job because I just couldn't control my fucking temper. And I have this like perpetual rejection thing where I try to push people away in the most nasty way possible. That I think I've dealt with now, to be honest. But it's just depression, anxiety. Like the depression sort of didn't really surface until I was working a job in an office, and I couldn't understand why. Because life was all right, you know. It wasn't bad. I had a job, had a full-time job, had a missus. I was a stepfather. Things were going swimmingly, you know. Missus got pregnant. I was like, happy days. I wanted a kid. Couldn't understand why. Had no idea why. Things were okay. Things started going downhill, I guess, and then I started losing job after job after job, and then the anxiety came. For a long period of time, I was too scared to even go out the fucking front door. I can't explain where these things came from to you. I can't. I don't know why they're there. That and I suppose that's the wonders of mental health, isn't it? It's all irrational.
Yeah.
For me, it is anyway. Without wishing to take away anything else from anyone else, but for me, it's irrational as fuck. And like,
it's irrational for you because you're in the middle of it. If you got somebody passionate enough on the outside, they could probably put the course.
But yeah, I couldn't understand where it fucking came from because life was all right, you know. I was used to being a working class, living in social housing type of guy. I was used to going to work and doing my thing and coming home and doing all the normal shit, you know. I don't know where it came from. I guess you know, sort of being abandoned for the final time, I suppose, by all of my so-called military friends. That's not true what they say when you join up, by the way. You'll make friends for life. No, you won't. At least in my case, it wasn't that. I was abandoned by all of them because I wasn't wearing that blue suit anymore, so they didn't want to fucking know. My dad was a piece of shit, really. He died 3 years ago. That kind of fucking affected me. I never got to punch him in the mouth. I would have liked to have done that. Would have liked to have punched him in the fucking gob. Really fucking hard, to be honest, for what he did to my mother primarily and to my sisters. But no, I don't know. I can't explain it to you. I can't fully articulate it to you. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. I'm fairly sure I do have BPD. I think it was just shit that I was born with, to be honest.
It could also be environmental as well.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with stuff that I was born with, because I've always been a fucking weirdo. I said, because when I went to go for the ADHD diagnosis, the doctor was like, "Are you sure you don't have autism?" And I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Internet meme comes to real life. Like,
right? Like, I couldn't imagine the doctor telling me that. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm fucking sure I'm not autistic, you prick."
No, but she thinks I am, and I can't argue with that because I don't have a degree in this shit. So, so I have to now go see where I am on the spectrum. And I spoke to my mum, and she was like, "Yeah, I used to say that about you," and I went, "No, you didn't. She went, I didn't tell you." But you didn't tell me.
Oh my god.
So
your mom's sitting around at tea time talking about how her son's autistic. You have no fucking clue.
But talking to her friends about how autistic her son is, like, and I'm just wandering around thinking everything's my fault. That there's nothing wrong with me, and that people just don't like me because I'm the arsehole. But yeah. No, I can't compare my experience to any of yours, because you've all been through some serious shit. I've experienced more with other people than what I have myself.
It's amusing you say that. People don't like you because you're the asshole. Because I think I can speak for everybody here. You always come across as really likable.
You do.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's the reason. One of the reasons why I did this.
Yeah, I remember that. I still have that on my computer. I still have that on my computer saved. Yes, I think I saved it to my hard drive. No, with me, I have gotten to the point where I have been suicidal, where because the depression. It doesn't make sense to me, but it drives you down, and you start telling yourself things. And you start telling yourself what a piece of shit you are, how worthless you are, how pathetic you are, how everyone would be better off with you dead. Like, you convince yourself, like, you even convince that your children would be better off. And then you kind of just sort of develop it, and then you end up in the tunnel vision. The worst of it's been this year, and I have drunken uncle to thank for fucking pulling me out of it. Because I tell you what, for me, as I said, this is how you deal with me. You have to be like drunken uncle to pull me out of it. You have to sit there and be abusive as fuck, and just take the piss, basically, and that tends to pull me out.
That sounds about like me.
The pair of you also bolster up, the cute girl of the internet as well, don't you?
We did. But I think Misa's done now. And I think she's in a much better place. I think
you killed her.
We killed her off. Yeah, done. It's finished.
Fair enough. I wasn't on about Misa. I was on about Viper.
Oh, Viper. I thought you were about Misa. Because obviously Misa had, well, I don't know whether she's still dealing with it. I've not had the opportunity to speak to her too often lately, but as you know, she was also a big advocate, just like I am, for mental health. Yeah. And I think she's in a much fucking better place than what she was.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
She's working it's a very, very busy job, and she's got a new boyfriend, and she's got new friends, and she seems to be good. But with Viper, I guess, I suppose. I wouldn't say bolster. I think we're just there and it helps.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so what do you think exactly should happen? Do you think private charities should take over the work of helping people out, especially soldiers returning with PTSD? Or do you think it would be better government ran, which I tend towards the private charity myself? But
when I first started doing YouTube, I remember I started with a bunch of really hardcore American conservatives that I sort of networked with and would stream with, and we'd end up debating a lot of things because obviously we do things here a little bit different here in the UK, and we got onto, funny enough, this very topic about how veterans should be handled in terms of getting them the help they need, and I'm of a mind that the country owes them a fucking debt, and it should be. It should be primarily a public service, but I think that private service should also be there as an option.
That's pretty much what I was going to say, and what Roasted Opinions has practically said.
And
just my stupid opinion in the chat said government hasn't done it right yet. Private charities.
Yeah, that's where I was going to come at. That's where I was going to. Oh, real quick, Irate. That's where I was going to attack it to with just my opinions, just my stupid opinion said. because when you look at the VA here in the United States, it is drastically ineffective. There's long wait times. They'd be better off going to the local hospital than they ever would be going to the VA hospital. So go ahead, sir. I'm sorry I cut you off, but I just wanted to spit that out.
I realize people may disagree with me on this one. I think both options should be available because choice is, I think, very helpful. I don't think all veterans would be able to afford it to go private because of their personal circumstances. It does happen. Especially ones that don't have a job to kind of come back to or anything like that, or find themselves on hard times. I mean, if the private charity is offering up the help, then sure. All should be regulated heavily by an independent body.
Yeah. The thing is, I think government should be involved side by side with the private charity, because let's face it, the government does have resources that a private charity doesn't have access to.
Yeah, but I don't want them to have those resources. Remember, libertarian. But the thing is, though, as well, you guys are right. We owe them a debt. They serve their country. Their country owes them.
I get it, man. I trust me. No, I'm a British person who has to use the NHS. I get it, right? Public services are shit. Right? They really are. But I still of the mind that they needs to be there. That we owe them a fucking debt, that they should be looked after as best as possible. And I think both should exist. But I also think they should both be extremely closely scrutinized by an independent body as well.
What sort of independent body? What are you thinking here?
I mean, there's two ways you could go about it. You could go with a private independent body, or you could go for a governmental independent body. I would prefer, and I'm not sure how realistic it would be, but I would prefer an independent body made up of veterans. To be honest with you, to keep a close eye on it, fully qualified, fully trained veterans to keep an eye on it. I'm not sure how realistic that is, though.
And I would say it would be the lower veteran, like, not somebody that raised all the way to general. You don't want somebody who's political.
No, I want
you
the
get
lads.
to be a general, you are.
Oh yeah, I want the lads running it.
So you would want, just a general officer corps overseeing it, something like that.
Well, what I'd want is I don't want like current serving military running it. I want veterans, former service personnel. You know what I mean? That have experience with this shit doing it. I want the lads running it. I don't want some pompous officer sat there, fucking drinking his tea and sat there in it, sort of reminiscing about his glory days. I want the lads to run it.
You just can't trust the Ruperts. There's something about it really is.
Yeah. I would also say I don't know if you guys have it in America. I know that we don't have it here, but I think the armed forces should also have a proper sort of exit package for soldiers, airmen, and sailors, in my opinion, and that should also include a mental health check as well.
Now that I wholeheartedly agree with, but I haven't seen somebody. Go ahead.
Sorry, what was that? You broke up. You roboted a little bit.
For me now.
All right. Is it better?
Wow.
Everyone is now. Am I breaking up?
No,
No.
you're fine, mate.
Oh, okay. I thought it might be me.
That's just Americans being cut off.
Oh,
Holy Christ. Ah.
you good now?
Oh, that's nice. Long enough to let me swear at somebody. Jensen, I blame you.
Understandable. I can just put in a thing that I would appreciate from the so-called support groups and things.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Actually you know, sit you down and talk you through and see how you're doing. The one thing that I would really appreciate at the end is if the person didn't turn around to you, look at you and say, I don't believe you're suicidal. That just really drives me up the wall.
It's not helpful.
No. How the how the hell are they supposed to understand what's going on in my head? They talk to me for half hour and then they turn around and say, no, I don't believe you're suicidal. It took an awful lot of willpower not to prove it to the person there and then. I quite literally was ready to bleed all over her face. It really, really annoyed me at that point. The problem is, you can't even complain about it because they will deny it. You'll just be treated as, oh, the nutter causing problems. Whatever. I know it's become the joke of the whole listen and believe thing, but do you know something? How about giving it a go for fucking veterans? We might not show the damage we've got, but the shit that goes on in our head, it's not a fun place to be. And then to be told you're a liar really doesn't.
That's not fucking helpful in any way, shape, or form. I hate that. I fucking hate that shit. Surprised you just punch her in the gob.
Oh, I'm not joking. I stared at the pens and pencils on the desk, looked at my wrist, and really considered opening a vein, saying, no, I'm not fucking suicidal. It really took it out of me. That was not a good day.
I feel you. I feel you. It's a total disrespect and just a total dismissal of your feelings. A very serious fucking feeling at that. Not just oh, I'm feeling sad, but I want to die. That's not helpful. That's wrong, and they shouldn't say things like that. They wonder why people get violent with them. You go into any NHS hospital where there'll be signs up about not attacking the staff there. It's like, well, the way they act sometimes, like I'm not surprised they get punched.
You're on about the NHS, I'm showing the age here. I remember when you go to an NHS hospital. Yes, there was a waiting list. It wasn't nearly as long as it is now. Where you actually did have free prescriptions. Even the dentist.
Yeah, they're not free anymore, are they?
No.
People like to pretend that they are, but they're not.
It's because of underfunding and enforced over immigration.
Mm-hmm.
But the NHS, when it works, it works well. But unfortunately, it doesn't work well nowadays because, like I said, underfunding and enforced over immigration.
Mm-hmm. Too many people.
And not enough people paying into the kitty.
And there is obviously a lot of other sort of attributes to it as well that are causing its decline. But yeah, I don't want to get into that and sort of get into positive. Guys, I'm going to go because I'm want to go to bed and stuff because I've got to be up in the morning. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to all of you, and I have immense respect for everybody here. So I really appreciate you kind of sharing your stories with me. And I really hope all the best for you. And I want you guys to keep me updated, please.
Thank you for joining us.
That's not a problem. That's absolutely not a problem. And all the best to all of you. And guys, you're all in my Discord, so you know I'm usually around. Just tag me, and I'll get back to you. All right.
Oh, say hello to
Manila. Yeah, no. Thank you for coming on the show, and nice to meet you, man. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you, guys. Have a great stream, and I'll probably speak to you in the Discord at some point. Have a great night, guys. Bye.
Good night, Dave.
Thank you so much for taking the time, dude.
No problem.
Have a good night.
One of the nice guys of the internet.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not saying that sarcastically.
I am.
Okay. Well, no.
He keeps wanting to punch people in the face.
Well, I'm just wondering, is
Nicely.
there a way?
Some people need to punch in the face.
Yeah.
Well, some people need punching in the face with one of those things that the FBI used to knock doors down.
But is there a way to actually help fix the problem in the U.S.? I mean, I believe it would be more private, but there are charities already, and they don't seem to be doing the job.
You need regulation as well, though, to make sure that these charities are going to do the jobs. As I mean, over here, the geriatric care, yeah, the retirement homes, I suppose you Americans would call them. You know, where you get people with dementia.
The homes for the elderly?
Yeah. They're supposed to be regulated, but they charge whatever they want. They'll even force families to sell, family homes and, remortgage their own homes to keep their loved ones in these places. The people who own and run these places, they make huge profits. I mean, I've worked in one or two, and you don't really see those profits being spent that much on the residents. They're given what they need, but not much beyond that. So you need strong regulation on these things. Because
interesting enough, man, that's why my wife quit her job. She was a caretaker at one of those retirement homes, and she didn't feel like they were treating the people correctly, and they're paying what $1,500, $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's fucked up.
The reverse of it is you get people like I did with my father who keep their dementia, the parent who's got dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever at home, and you get the carers coming in like twice a day. They do look after the person. Obviously it's in their own home, but even so, the level of care is actually better, in my opinion, from the professionals than it is in one of these retirement homes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes to show, one-on-one care is better than somebody overseeing a whole group of people. Kind of like, what was that experiment they did at a university? I think it was USC or something like that, where they took the class, they split them in half. Half of you are guards, half of you are prisoners. Then they played out the fucking what it would be like in a prison, and obviously half the class that was the guards went tyrannical.
Yeah, there's been lots of different versions of that. There's one where the teacher will spread out this fictitious scientific paper, which says that people with blue eyes are more intelligent than people with green eyes, and people with green eyes are more intelligent than people with brown eyes. And you spread that amongst the class, and you teach it as fact. And you see very quickly a division amongst the class. And the people with blue eyes are total bastards.
They would be.
Like their egos are boosted.
Oh, yeah. The people with brown eyes are basically treated like the scum of the class.
Oh, I'd be pissed. My eyes are either brown or green. They kind of change. But yeah.
Like bluish green.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
That was hot, Emma. Emma, that was hot.
I know, I was muted because I've been guilty. I'm sorry, I forgot I wasn't muted.
It was a very feminine burp.
That's not very ladylike, Emma.
That was that half abroad thing.
Okay, anything else on this subject, or should we just wrap it up? We've been going a little bit over 2 hours, so.
I think that would be entirely up to the people who started it. I mean, I know it's your stream, Mad, but...
Well, I'm wondering if you guys got anything else you want to talk about on the subject.
Honestly,
no.
I think we've pretty much covered most of it. I just hope some of the people that were in the chat done the decent thing and just chucked a couple of quid towards the charities. It makes it it makes it worthwhile actually going through reliving that shit.
Yeah, the Samaritans said get about £1 a month off me anyway. That's pretty much what I can afford on a regular basis.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, please, guys. There's still 19 of you watching. We peaked at like 32, which was kind of crazy for my stream. So I'm happy about that. But throw a couple shekels towards one of those charities, please. Good night. Good luck. And if you need help, call the suicide hotline or get in touch with somebody to help you. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt your family. Any last thoughts, guys? I'm not even going to say fuck off France. Like,
if you
that's
think you're in
seriously.
danger of, I'd say if you think you're in danger of going down the road to suicide, make sure you're not alone. Yeah, make sure there's people around you.
Talk to somebody you care about. Reach out, because people do care about you. Yeah,
outside of yourself.
Absolutely. Anybody else, or else I'm just gonna wrap it up because yeah, that's a somber enough note.
Hey, remember these people are fighting too. Just because they lose the battle doesn't mean you need to stay angry at them.
I'll try to remember that, Tema, but
you still hate the Red Sox.
All right.
Not everybody can win.
This is true.
Fair enough. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. We're out of here. Peace.